The king of cramming didn't die unexpectedly for nothing. He transmigrated into the only son of a scholar in the Great Liang dynasty, a dynasty that never existed in history. From then on, he lived well, with everything handed to him and never lifting a finger. At 6, he learned he'd been switched at birth with the Qin family's child. Upon returning to the Qin family, he immediately asked the main branch to split the property. Instead of blaming him, the main branch was nice to him. What were you doing at the dinner table today?
That kid already brought up splitting the family. If you start a fight with him and the third brother really insists on dividing things up, are you going to farm the land yourself to pay for the relative's schooling?
They're still counting on our relative to pass the imperial exam next year so they can benefit from it too. How could they possibly be willing to split the family? Besides, in the past, it was always our main branch that got to eat the meat, and the third branch never dared say a word. So why did we have to give so much meat to the third branch today?
That Jin Yan just asked you earlier today if he could study, but you turned him down. Then at dinner, he stirred up trouble over a bowl of stir-fried meat and brought up splitting the family.
This kid has been so beaten down living with the Zhou family that he's become numb and stubborn. There's bound to be more trouble from him in the future. Do you really think a 6-year-old kid could come up with all that?
Don't forget, he was raised by Master Zhou. All those scholars are sharp as a tack. But no matter how clever he is, he's still only 6. As long as we ruin him, the third branch couple won't be able to stir up any real trouble.
The next day, Mrs. Zhou started making big promises to Qin Yan. Your brother is studying for the sake of our whole family, to bring honor to the Qin family name. Next year, he'll be taking the imperial exams. Once he becomes a scholar, he'll be able to send you to school too, and life will get better for all of us.
Isn't this just a way to stall me for a few years until I completely miss the age for starting school? Then, just like mom and dad, I'll spend my whole life working like a horse for the main branch.
Madam Zhou definitely isn't that scheming. Qin Tifu and old Deng are sly enough for that. What Aunt said makes sense, but I need to practice my calligraphy these days. Give me a bit more of cousin's brushes, ink, and paper.
You don't even go to school. What do you need to practice writing for? I haven't been able to study for years so my cousin could go to school. If I don't even practice my writing, these years will be wasted. I want to bring honor to the Qin family too, someday.
Ah, it's just some paper and ink, isn't it? Fine, you can have them. Once the harvest is in, we'll have old third take it to town to sell, and then we'll buy new supplies for Qinwei.
Thinking of this, Mrs. Zhou went back to the room and brought out 3 sheets of paper, a brush, and half an ink stick for Qin Yan. 3 sheets of paper aren't enough to write much. Auntie, don't tell me you're even stingy with paper.
Are we even family, then? Paper's expensive. Your cousin Jingwei usually can't bear to buy much, so there are only a few sheets left at home.
I'll make do with these, then. Auntie, please ask Kelvin to buy more paper tomorrow. I'll need it the day after.
Qin Yan ignored Mrs. Zhou, took the items, and went back to his room. He knew that, given the Qin family situation, he couldn't study for now. He needed to earn as much money as possible before the family split, so he could study in peace later.
Right now, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms storybooks are selling well, and many bookshops keep reprinting them. If he could illustrate the pictures inside, there would be an even greater chance of selling them. By the time he finished drawing the 3 illustrations, 6 days had already passed.
That night, as Qin Yan slept, he vaguely heard the sound of someone sobbing. Look at your shoulders, all rubbed raw from carrying loads, and your legs are so cramped you can't even move. But the main branch of the family doesn't treat us like people at all. They don't even give us enough to eat. How are we supposed to get through this? Tomorrow I'll talk to Big Brother. During the busy farming season, we still need to eat properly. We can't just keep drinking rice porridge. Today I saw Auntie and Chuan Ji hiding in the house eating pastries. I was lying by the door and could even smell how good it was.
Oh, I work myself to the bone in the fields, but my own son can't even get a piece of pastry. What's the point of working so hard then?
Hey, maybe there was only one piece of pastry.
Yesterday, Auntie even cooked a pot of meat in the house, and she and Chuan Ji finished it all by themselves.
Dad, I'm really good at eating meat too. I can eat pastries, and I can eat sorghum rice as well.
I can eat all those things too. Can you eat them, Dad?
Chen Dasho looked embarrassed, wanting to say something but his throat tightened up.
Your mother has suffered a lot with me. Once I pass the imperial exams in the future, I'll make sure you and Mom have a good life, and you can eat whatever you want.
Back when I was at the Zhou families, the teacher always praised me for being smart, saying I definitely wouldn't be any worse than my dad in the future. But Auntie always scolded me for being lazy and just wanting to eat. But Chuan is 3 years older than me, so why doesn't he have to work in the fields?
In the village, 9-year-old kids are already considered half adults, but her son is still running around the village playing with cats and dogs. We only have this one son. As the head of the family, can you really bear to see him end up like you, struggling all his life? Jin Yan looked at Madame Lu in surprise. When he saw the tears in her eyes, a surge of indescribable emotion welled up in his heart. In less than 10 days, there really hadn't been enough time for him to develop much of a familial bond with Madame Lu or Chindasho.
The two of them felt more like allies he needed to win over. But at this very moment, he realized that Madame Lu was already on his side, even without him having to try so hard.
If my father hadn't died, I wouldn't be living like this. My son's father is still alive, so from now on, he won't have to go begging. Having worked like a horse for his eldest brother all this time, how could Chendasho not be willing?
At just 10 years old, he had already read all the 4 books and 5 classics, but went from being a scholar to a farmer, never having enough to eat or wear, working from dawn till dusk. If it weren't for his mother, Madame Lu, protecting him, his days would have been even harder. Now, if he had to watch his own son walk the same path he did, how could he possibly agree? Do you also want to send Yen to study? I thought that only by studying could I avoid the hardships of working under the sun and rain. It turns out that even before I did so much, my parents already wanted to help me rise above. But my uncle and aunt didn't want me to go to school. My own son, I'll support him myself. As for the child's father, let's just live our own lives. But mother is still here, so it's not appropriate to split the family.
Dividing the family is shameful. Only after parents or elders die do brothers separate and take responsibility.
Now that Madame Lu is still alive, it's naturally not easy to divide the family. Sai, looks like if we want to split the family, we'll have to deal with the old lady first.